Auburn is in the hunt for a new coach, but how quickly can they return to national relevance if they get the hire right? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us up, turn us on, we'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend Chris Marler, a national college football analyst, to talk a little Auburn football here on a Thursday morning. Chris, on today's show, we're going to talk about that coaching search. Everything is coaching search related. Auburn is on a bye week this week, at which they'll play Mercer coming off the bye. But
need a week to prep for Mercer, brother. Need a week to prep for Mercer. Good for them.
Yeah, especially if they're starting Deuce Knight. They actually do need a week to prep for Mercer. But look, there's a lot of things going on the Plains, the least of which not being the coaching search. It's exciting times. It's a once in a 4 or 5 year event if you're lucky. At Auburn, it seems to be coming around a little more often than we would like. But here we are. And on today's show, we're going to talk about who is in the running and can Auburn return to national relevance with a good hire in 1 year. Let's start at the top here. The 2026 schedule is brutal, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but like the Mississippi schools come back on the schedule for Auburn, and LSU comes back, and Florida and Tennessee join the schedule along with Alabama and Georgia on the road. It is murder's row for Auburn in 2026. So they have to pull it together quickly. Don't forget that Baylor game that they moved to Atlanta that everybody seems to be very upset about the move. But like, as I mentioned, you have Vanderbilt at home. You're at Alabama and Georgia, Arkansas at home, Florida at home, LSU at home, at Ole Miss, at Mississippi State, at Tennessee. They've got to pull it together quickly, or you might be facing another losing season. Now, they're not quite at a losing season yet here.
Right.
But with the names being floated out there right now that are realistic, John Sumrall, maybe Kenny Dillingham, or hiring DJ Durkin, do you think the names at the top of the list can return Auburn to national relevance quickly?
The thing with Summerall is I don't know. Like Auburn should be able to return to national relevance because it's Auburn. And I feel weird saying that in terms of the fact that I just don't know enough about Tulane. Like it's an interesting hire because a lot of times you see this jump from G5 or G6 now to the Power 4. It's usually a team that's like 12-0 or knock on the door of getting into the playoff. And this is a Tulane team that, as of today, I think is projected to go to the Gasparilla Bowl like a week before Christmas. So it's just a little bit different. It's not a bad thing or a good thing or anything in between. Summerall seems like the perfect fit. I know being down here in Baton Rouge right now, like a lot of people here like him, but there's this weird stigma at LSU where it's like, well, you know what? They can't hire a team or a coach from a lesser team in the same state. There's just, like they look down on it for whatever reason. I think he's a good fit. What's interesting about this, the other two, because I think it's a 3-person race, and I have, for several weeks now, and that is, I think that Dillingham, what's his name?
And Durkin
and John Sumrall. I think those are the 3 main guys. Now I did hear today. I don't think it's like a secret or anything like that. Like I know Cam Newton has been supposedly pushing for Drinkwitz to get a look because that was his quarterback's coach. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think Drink's going to end up somewhere besides Missouri, but I don't think it's going to be at Auburn. But those 3 guys, like Dillingham, Sumrall, and Durkin, I think are the 3 names. Each one you can sell me on. And I think Dillingham, what's interesting about this specific coaching cycle is there's 3 names that pop up on every single one of these lists, right? And it's Brent Key, Jeff Brom, Kenny Dillingham. Those are 3 names that have been in every single one of these odds lists and coaching carousel rumors at every single opening that's happened. It's odd only because those 3 guys are currently at places where they played at. And that's an uphill battle to have to go against in terms of like getting Brent Key out of Atlanta in a conference where he can probably win 10, 11 games every year versus the SEC. That's a tough sell, especially at his alma mater. Same to be said for Jeff Brom. Then you have Dillingham. Dillingham's the one I think that makes the most sense, not only because the ties he has at Auburn, but also because he's in a situation where he's at his alma mater. Yes, he's in a conference that's much lesser than where he can win a lot of games and just went to the playoff a year ago. It's also at a place that's not giving him anywhere nearly, tough start. anywhere near the amount of resources he wants or needs to get this program to where he wants it. Auburn's not going to struggle doing that. Auburn is not going to. This is not one of those things where Auburn boosters are going to sit here and say, well, man, we gave Hugh so many resources. It's going to be hard for us to get back up off the mat and go deeper into our pockets and say, like, that's not going to be a problem for Auburn. And like, it's the best fan base in the country, point blank, period. My fiance and I talked about this a whole bunch. She went there. She made the comment the other day, and like, it almost made me sad. It was like, man, we're just like wasting this Jordan Hare atmosphere at this point. It's like, it's second to none. You're showing up for these games that almost don't matter. And it's like the Kentucky game. Everyone's there. Everyone's invested. You need a coach that's going to be as invested. I will finish this long-winded diatribe by saying the Durkin thing is interesting to me because I think that if he is able to win the next 2 games, and that's a very big possibility because they got Mercer and Bama, and Lord knows how bad Bama struggled there in general, but especially against this defense. If you win that game, I don't see Auburn not learning from what may have been a mistake a couple of years ago, which was you had an interim coach. That one actually played at Auburn with Cadillac, and you end up going elsewhere to hire somewhere else. I don't think that they do that this time around. If you end the season with 2 wins and you get to ride your bikes to the Birmingham Bowl for the 4th time in 5 years.
Look, you raised an interesting point about Durkin. He's getting a real-time audition for the job, essentially, and he's been a head coach before. So unlike Cadillac, he actually brings some experience to the discussion here about whether he could be the guy or not. Certainly, a lot of players have come out on social media and they're actively pushing for this. We've seen Xavier Atkins and some of these guys just saying, hey, they're posting the Lil Durk with Dirk's face on it. I don't keep up with all the rap music these days, Chris. But John Cohen's going to get a second chance to hire a coach here at Auburn, which is a blessing and a curse because I don't think he's going to get a chance to hire a third. So he really has to get this
Hopefully
right.
He doesn't. Hopefully that's the whole point of it, right? It's like you want to make sure you don't have to hire a third one.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like Eli's Drinkwitz's name being in. I don't think Auburn fans are going to like Eli. I don't think he's very fan friendly. I don't think he's gonna give the warm and fuzzies that these Southern folks are gonna want. Man, I'm not a big Eli guy. Kenny Dillingham, though, seems to be a name that you like as the next coach of Auburn. What is it about Dillingham that stands out to you?
Well, first, I'm gonna go back to Drink too, by the way, because he hasn't asked me to say this, and I don't think he would ever care. And he is. I say this every week on Sirius on SC This Morning. On Wednesday for that teleconference, I will never ask him a question ever because he makes you feel so small. And I don't know if you remember this at media days, and I was like, "Hey, man, I know you're a big Celsius fan because he's walking around with Celsius the year before. Yeah. And he's handing out to Lane Kiffin and everything." And I was like, "What's your favorite flavor? Like go-to flavor the morning you guys play Kansas?" And he's like, "I don't drink that anymore." And I was like,
I just saw you 5 minutes ago.
I'll leave, I guess. Like it was so awkward. But he is not a favorite by any means, I guess, like our fan favorite. I get all that. I get this thing that it happens a lot in Baton Rouge, and you're hearing like a lot of other places, this like buzzword of like, well, he doesn't fit the culture. The culture is winning everywhere, no matter where you are. The culture is winning. If you're winning, you don't care if he looks like what's his name from Wolf of Wall Street. Like it doesn't matter. Like you want to win games. The Dillingham thing I think that's so interesting is I think that guy is really eager to prove what he can do as a coach. And he has moved up the ranks very, very fast. Like I said, he's already familiar with Auburn. He was the OC in 2019. Really the last like good year Auburn's had, and not really particularly close. You look at the past couple years since then. And he had a lot to work with, I think, that year. But you talk about like some of the young talent they have for on that roster right now. I think one of the biggest questions you have to answer, and for this specific coaching search at Auburn, who is going to be able to come in and not just go ahead and get you guys, because you don't want to make a hire for the next year. You want to make it for make sure he's there for 4 or 5 years down the road in the long-term success, obviously.
Right.
But with Auburn, it's still a top 15 roster in the country with what they currently have. Now they have been mismanaged horribly and miscoached from Hugh Freeze horribly. And Jackson Arnold clearly wasn't the guy at quarterback. But which of those options is it? Drink? Is it Dillingham, or is, more realistically, Sumrall, Dillingham, or Durkin? That is going to be able to have the most retention from those guys, because I think that's a huge, huge selling point, and that's one of the main reasons I think Durkin ultimately might end up being the guy in the long run.
Yeah, I'm a betting man. I don't bet often, but when I do bet, I bet.
Yeah,
and I can tell you, I've had that one hand of blackjack where I went all in and I lost.
Yeah,
but it hurt. It hurt because I went all in. Auburn went all in on this roster these last couple of years from a money standpoint. And I don't think Cohen is ready to let go of that investment to just rebuild it all. So I agree with you. I think if you have a guy and he has a better chance of helping you hold that investment together, why wouldn't you give that a serious look? And I'll go a step further. Why wouldn't that be at the top of your list in terms of options? I mean, I think what we learned from the Vanderbilt game was Hugh Freeze was definitely the problem.
Huge problem.
Right. Yeah, he was the problem. Your offense looked drastically different. I had people in my comment section, Chris, calling me a clown because I said this. I said it on Michael Brayton's podcast, and I said this on our show all week in the lead up to Vanderbilt. I said, what if Auburn comes out and drops 40 on Vanderbilt? And people said, this clown, Mike, what is he talking about? Like, what have you seen all year that makes you think they could drop 40 on Vandy? And then they went out and they dropped 38. So for all intents and purposes, Chris, they dropped 40.
But this is how simple it is too, Mike. Like, this is how simple. This is what pissed me off more than anything with Hugh Freeze. Like, because I honestly thought it was going to work. I thought him bringing offense, and it's not because he beat Bama twice in 2015 and 2014. Like, that doesn't matter. I thought it was going to work because he had success at one, offense, right? And two, quick turnarounds. People forget when he went to Arkansas State, they didn't have a winning record for 15 years before he got there. And they win like 10 games year one or something like that. Like, it was like, he's very good at, like, Ole Miss, one SEC win in the two previous years before he got there. They win 3 the first year, including the Egg Bowl. Like, that's like around the time you had Mullen and stuff like that. Like, but DJ Durkin said something in that press conference. It was like, yeah, man, we talked about this during the week. Cam Coleman's one of the best players in the country. This is going to shock you. What if we just gave him the football? What if we just tried to get him the football, you idiots? Like, it's unbelievable. So, like, they finally started doing it, and it's like, I was so sick, Mike, of watching every week. And my fiance is an Auburn grad. I have no rooting interest in Auburn other than to see her happy.
Your fiance is a prolific Auburn grad, by the way. Yes, that's like she's very large Auburn following on Twitter. Like, she is the Auburn grad.
Shout out Allie Davison, future Allie Marler. Can't wait. And people that are still mad about that. It's just like, I don't know what to tell you guys. She's great, but no, she was sitting there. Like, I would look at her in some of the games, and it's like we're finding, like, it's like Hugh Freeze would find out in real time, like, I can hand off to the running back. Like, yeah, man. Yeah, that's an option. If he's going to be on the field, you can do that. So,
and you were adamant, Chris. You were adamant about just give the ball to Jarquez Hunter. What are you doing? You wrote that a million times last season.
He's been gone for over a year, and it still pisses me off. And but you're right, man. I think that there's some moving parts, but it's also these moving parts, Mike, that are like so obvious. If they feel so obvious, like, hey, which one of you is going to get the ball to somebody like Cam Coleman? Which one is you going to prioritize that kid? Which one is you going to be able to develop the next quarterback? And a guy like Perry Thompson. And hey, here's a novel idea. Maybe get some damn offensive linemen in here that can block. Like maybe we prioritize the trenches again. Like, those are all things that this next guy needs to do.
Yeah, look, we're going to get to the break, and when we come back, I do want to reflect on the Hugh Freeze era. Like, a lot of people have given their thoughts. I'm going to give you the floor to talk about how Hugh Freeze will be remembered, and could he be done with coaching forever after this? Should he be done with coaching after this? We'll talk about that next, right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at Abel's Iron Moore and Associates. Chris, at Abel's Iron Moore and Associates, it's not just about the numbers on the page. It's about families, futures, and making sure your hard work lasts for generations, whether you're saving for your kids' college, planning for retirement, or thinking about how to pass on your legacy. They take time to understand what matters most to you. The team at AMA knows the value of building something lasting and approaches every client relationship with care and dedication. Call 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com to create your tomorrow today. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iron No More and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's Iron No More and Associates is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that potentially has you covered. If you've got some traditional ailments that could require some non-traditional remedies, the Rogue Shop has something that could get you on the road to feeling better. Visit rogueshop.com. Our guy, Richard, longtime sponsor of the show, dropping a little something extra in there for everybody using code REPORT today. I want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. The road to knowing self starts at Sets for Society. They have custom personality assessments that let you know a little bit more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you guys can think together to accomplish like goals. We've taken these assessments here at the War Report. I can tell you it nailed every quirk, it nailed every strength, every weakness, and we are working better as a team here because we have taken this. You should too. Visit setsforsociety.ai to get your custom personality assessment started today. Just fill out the form. They'll reach out and do the rest. I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault is the place for you. You can find them on Highway 431, right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Last but certainly not least, we want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Need a smoke shop that's always close by? Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered all over Columbus and even across the bridge in Phoenix City. Whether you're cruising down Airport Thruway, rolling along Victory Drive, or making a pit stop on the 280 bypass, they've got a spot ready for you. From vapes to tobacco and everything in between, Sky Tobacco and Vape is your one-stop shop for good vibes and great deals. Swing through today. Chances are they're already on your way, and no judgment if you roll in at 10 p.m. in your pajama pants. Chris, Hugh Freeze said, I do two things well when he got hired. His introductory press conference. Said, we turn programs around quickly.
Lie and blame others.
We develop quarterbacks. In hindsight, we can safely say that neither of those things happened here. There's a lot of conjecture about why those things didn't happen, but we can all agree that it just didn't work. What do you think his legacy is going to be? A lot of people bemoaned the Brian Harsin hire.
Yeah.
I would argue that this was a worse hire than Brian Harsin. Don't talk to me about recruiting when you spent $30 million putting a roster together. I'm not ready to give him all that credit. I think that he had an excellent recruiting staff. I think that his coaches recruited well. I'm not sure how much credit I'm giving Hugh Freeze for recruiting in an era where Auburn has the resources to go out and spend what they spent to put this roster together.
Yeah.
What do you think here, man? What's his legacy?
Yeah, I don't know if I would give Gene Chizik all the credit in the world for getting Cam Newton. So in the same breath, I think listen, this is what pisses me off about the Hugh Freeze thing for a number of reasons is very simple. People can look at Auburn and make the jokes. I know I have before. Like it's like where it's like, well, yeah. There is nothing like an Auburn coaching search. It's incredible. But like this idea that they shouldn't have these expectations is really dumb because you date back to Pat Dye. Dating back to Pat Dye, every single coach they've had since Pat Dye has won some sort of title within the first 3 years or competed for a title in the first 3 years or got undefeated. Yep. And that is Pat Dye won the SEC and by year 3. Terry Bowden went 11-0 in year 1. What's his name? Tuberville, I think, won the SEC West by year 3.
By year
Chizik
2.
Won the national title year 2. Chizik, by the way, was a 5-19 head coach. He was 5-19 at Iowa State. He comes in, wins a natty in year 2. Gus goes to the natty in year 1. And then Harsin, obviously, he broke that trend, even though I don't think he lasted a full 3 years. And then you have Freeze. So the expectation, there's merit and validation for why that expectation is there. It's not delusional from Auburn fans. I to this day am still very pissed at the way that they handled the Brian Harsin thing. And I know that the Auburn fans disagree, but I'll just be honest, you're wrong. I mean, like you complained about this person for so long, and then Hugh Freeze came in, And I think Brooks Austin, our buddy, said it best. Like you got swindled by a swindler, and that was the frustrating thing. Now, again, I thought it was going to work. I thought it would work. I thought it was a good fit. I thought they got it in a good situation where it's like you don't have to have a massive buyout because he's getting a second chance. He's going to want to succeed. We saw what he could do at other places offensively. Now, I thought the Malik Willis thing was like maybe a little bit of fool's gold because he wasn't like as great as everyone thought. But like coming into these resources, he was the perfect fit. And they put the staff around him, and he went out and got all this other stuff. The frustrating thing about Hugh Freeze, and I will just I don't think I'll ever forgive him, not even as a coach, but like as a man about this, is I know he's going through tough personal stuff and health stuff and all that kind of crap. But dude, like he at every turn found a reason to throw his players under the bus. Like,
Yes.
if you didn't want Peyton Thorne to be the quarterback, you should have signed him for one, and then two, go find another one. If you thought he was good enough to get you to the next level, instead of having to go get another guy after year one with him, I get it. But like again, even if that wasn't the answer, like we mentioned before, you had Jarquez Hunter in the backfield, you refused to give him the ball more than 15 times in the game. Kid had 2 games in his career, 46 games at Auburn, where he had 20 plus carries. But Auburn gave you everything. And all we heard over and over and over again was, we're close. It's not my fault. This should have happened. We should have done this. Brother, when he came out here at the beginning of the year and started talking about how they were going to call plays, so-and-so is going to do it on first down. I'm going to do it on second down. We're going to do a dizzy bat challenge, and whoever gets to the finish line first on American Ninja Warrior, they're going to get to the third one. We might do a phone a friend situation on fourth down. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that whole situation was bizarre. And what all I wanted to see from him as a coach and as a man was to take leadership, take ownership. It's your job. And that was, like, you say what you want to about Brian Harsin. At least he tried to – he went down like swinging, and he wasn't a great fit for Auburn, but this whole thing with Freeze, man, was just infuriating. I think it was great to see. I know it ended in a loss, but it was great to see Auburn fighting like they usually can and have done in the past under DJ Durkin.
Chris, one of the more surprising things I think that came out of the Hugh Freeze like era, it felt like almost none of these players had a actual relationship with him.
That's wild.
And I said this. So we did a fireside series where we would sit down with the players, and when he first got hired, I would ask the players, like, "Hey, give us some Hugh Freeze-isms. Like, what kind of stuff does he say that it's funny that you guys like looking for some good player-coach relationship stuff?" And every single player said, "Well, we don't know. We don't talk to Hugh. He's off recruiting." Then I'll take you back to the end of year one, because I said this, and all the idiot. There's this board out there called The Bunker. It's like one of the worst places on the internet. And they were starting this whole thread about like Mike G keeps talking about Coach Freeze has a messaging problem. I said he does have a messaging problem. In the aftermath of losses, he's talking about how they need to recruit instead of what went wrong and how they can fix it. And I don't think that's a good message, because show me where Saban went to the microphone after he lost to UL Monroe in his first year and said, we got to go get our next Julio Jones so we can win. No, he said, we have to win. Period. No excuses. We have to win. I've never seen a high-level coach say some of the things that he said in the aftermath.
You lost a bowl game, and he was like, I didn't prep. I was recruiting.
I asked him that question, and I tweeted it, and I was like, Hugh Freeze said he was too busy recruiting to be involved in game planning until the week of. And I guess that blew up, because before I got to, like, I don't know if you know that route from like Nashville. Like by the time I got to Cornersville, people were like, Lane Kiffin is retweeting you. And I said, well, again, it wasn't a gotcha question. No. It was just literally just asked them, hey, what happened to your offense today? And you said you were too busy to help with game planning. And that's a wild thing to say.
He's also and listen, you had 2 top 10 classes. You had a top 5 portal class. You went and spent $1 million in Eric Singleton. Listen, I'm from Atlanta. I grew up going to games with Bobby Dodd. Would have loved to see Haynes King with Eric Singleton this year. You gave Cam $1 million, and he probably is about to get a lot more and deserves to get a lot more. You had Perry Thompson, who's a 5-star. Malcolm Simmons. There's talent all over this roster. And then on top of that, like the defense has had holes at times this year. Like the secondary's been tough at times. But you have guys everywhere. Like Kendrick Falk is awesome. He's awesome. He's gonna be a top 5 pick. Like that kid is an alien. And you have all these other players that are like that, and you couldn't figure out how to get more than 3 points against Kentucky at home.
Oh.
And it's just, and I know this, maybe it's even stupid to even beat the dead horse at this point, but it was so infuriating because it's like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example right now that's going to probably take the show in a different direction. Me and Allie have been watching Selling Sunset a bunch.
Okay.
These idiots out here selling real estate in LA and OC. And whenever something bad happens, it's never their fault. It's like a kid. It's never a middle schooler's fault if they got in trouble. The teacher was picking on really and that's how Hugh was every time he got behind the podium. And keep in mind, he never had an issue doing his old BS about tearing up about this and that and what this means to me, doing the golly shucks, the whole Southern charm type thing. He never had an issue doing that in front of the camera. Everyone was mad that Harsin couldn't recruit. All they asked this guy to do, they gave him everything he could have asked for. And all they asked him to do was, hey, man, don't turn in your GIN scores or GIN scores, whatever it is, when you play golf so much this summer, and go win games against Kentucky. And he couldn't do that. And that was the most shocking thing to me, that it was I to this day, I jokingly said this on Twitter, but I'm barely joking. I genuinely think there's a part of Hugh Freeze that is okay with his team losing as long as he doesn't feel like it's his fault. If they lost a game because his quarterback threw 2 to 3 interceptions, I don't think that he loses sleep over that at night, because that's not his fault. He's not the one that did it. I fully believe it.
John Cohen said before he introduced DJ Durkin as interim, he said, if we had even an average offense, I wouldn't be standing in front of you right now.
Right.
And while he has been gracious to Hugh in the aftermath of this firing, he's also said some things that are very telling about the results have been subpar and it's unacceptable. And I'm not going to stand here in front of you and say, hey, we're close, or be patient. We're going to get this fixed now. So Durkin takes over. And then, the worst thing that could have happened for Hugh was Durkin says, Derek Nix is going to call plays, and I'm not even going to be involved in that because that's not my bag. And then you go out and you have a 300-yard passer, 200-yard receivers, and if not for a hold by Preston Howard, you would have 200-yard rushers in that game. Right. And the offense looks completely different. I don't know.
Did they do anything mind-blowingly different schematically, Mike?
Not well. They did some things that they haven't done all year, but they weren't mind-blowing schematic. It wasn't some grand thing. It was just throw the ball at Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
Or here's a slant. Or you know what? The middle of the field exists. Let's try to throw the ball here. Right. Or you know what? Let's hand the ball to the running back at least 15 to 20 times. It was just a good mix. Derek Nix was in his bag. That was a fun offense to watch. And then when you throw the ball up to Cam Coleman, he made 3 absolutely otherworldly plays in that game.
He was at 60%. He was at 60% health-wise after that, when he went back on the field and caught that ball. And then went back out there and caught the 2-point conversion.
I don't even know if he saw the ball when he caught the 1 touchdown. Right. So, and then you need a 2-point conversion, and you just throw it back to him, and he just goes and gets it. And you could have been doing this all year. But I will tell you this. We'll leave on this, Chris.
Yeah.
I think a big part of who his legacy is going to be is the failure to pick a quarterback in 3 years.
Yeah.
You brought Jackson Arnold in here. You brought Peyton Thorne in, and I'm not sure Peyton was as much of the problem as
he wasn't.
I don't think he was any of the problem, honestly. I think that were you going to win a championship with Peyton? Maybe not. But I said this, and again, the message boards idiots went after me. I went on Michael Braden's podcast and I said Auburn didn't go 5-7 last year because of talent, right? The difference between 5-7 and 7-5 wasn't talent; it's coaching.
Right.
You coached them down to 5-7, and they've got to start to coach them up now. They've got 2 games left in the season here. Chris Marler, I want to thank you for giving me your thoughts on everything Auburn and Hugh Freeze here. We're moving on, so hopefully we're not talking about Hugh. Hopefully we're talking about all the wonderful things that Derek Nix and DJ Durkin do over the next couple of weeks.
Hey, listen, call Bruce, brother. Call Bruce to see if he can coach football.
Chris, before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you.
Oh man, Vern _ Funquist on Twitter, and then over LouisianaSports.net on the daily, writing articles. A lot of pro Auburn stuff over there, actually. Been writing, and then Fourth and Wrong podcast, and several other places just like that. And yeah, I think Twitter's probably the best place to find me.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Follow Chris on Twitter. We'll put that in the description of the video. Lots of great stuff coming out there. And while you're in the comment section, tell us what you think about Auburn's next head coach to be Kenny Dillingham. Would you be okay with DJ Durkin taking over after the interim title? And while you're in that comment section, smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. Please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. I'm signing off, and as always, War Eagle.